Interesting news I wanted to talk about. As you guys know, I used to be a huge fan of Heroes of the Storm. I used to play the game every day. I did tons of videos on all the new characters, the new maps, strategies, etc. Over the last few years, my interest in the game has clearly waned. I'm not the only one. As a matter of fact, really nobody plays the game anymore. I wouldn't say the game's dead because PC games never truly die. There's always a few of us out there holding on to a shred. A lot of people are still playing Half-Life PvP, believe it or not. So there are still people out there for this community, but it's no surprise that Heroes of the Storm is effectively dead, killed by Blizzard. The World Championship Series that they did was stopped. New development for any really new characters has really stopped. The team has been gutted from more of a development team to more of a sustainment team. Mike Morehaime went to Gamelab Barcelona where he talked about Heroes of the Storm, and he said, "First of all, I'd like to think Heroes made a great team game. One of my regrets is that we didn't produce DOTA early enough. DOTA was very popular, and we were very focused on World of Warcraft at the time, and more people were playing DOTA than Warcraft 3. The community was doing a great job supporting it, and we didn't want to disrupt that. And frankly, we had our hands full trying to support the growth of World of Warcraft. We felt like focusing on Warcraft was the right call at the time. In retrospect, boy, if I could go back in time and say, you know what? Why don't we have a small team that's focused on doing something in Dota? Why don't we include Dota with the launch of StarCraft 2 in a mode or something? I'd love to try to do that a little better. I think Heroes was probably too late." All right. Heroes was, in fact, way too late. And if you're not familiar with the history of Dota, aka Defense of the Ancients, it was a mod that first came with Warcraft 3, which basically pitted heroes against each other in a symmetrical map, fighting creeps, pushing lanes, and trying to destroy the enemy core or keep or tower. The names changed, but the idea is the same. And it took Blizzard a really long time to make a proper game based off of this. And at first, it finally started to culminate at BlizzCon around 2012, 2013, when they announced they were doing what they called, at the time, Blizzard All Stars, which was supposed to be BlizzCon the game. It was a celebration of all things Blizzard, taking characters from their most beloved franchise, including StarCraft, Warcraft, and Diablo, and mixing them all together into a Dota-style game. Now, when my wife and I went many, many years ago to BlizzCon, we got to beta test this game at the convention and see it in a very early, rough, maybe even an alpha. But you guys know Blizzard alphas are really more like final releases because Blizzard typically releases very polished games. The game did come out late, and by then League of Legends had already dominated a large portion of the market. At that point, you had Dota 2 coming out via Steam, so Blizzard had a lot of competition on their hands, but it wasn't the fact that the game came late that doomed it. And this is the thing I don't understand, and it's sad because, you know, Blizzard had a great opportunity here. The characters that are on Blizzard are iconic, and Blizzard has that Blizzard magic, and despite all the crap that's going on with the Diablo mobile game, people who played the original StarCraft or even StarCraft 2 or any of the Diablo games or World of Warcraft or any of the Warcraft real-time strategy games have characters that they've just grown with, and definitely Blizzard makes amazing, amazing characters. I have a wall over here to my right just plastered with Diablo and StarCraft posters and Hearthstone, and I have some Diablo posters over here. I love everything about this game. I love everything about this character. So taking iconic characters like Arthas, the Lich King, and putting him up against Leoric, or putting him up against Thrall, or putting him up against Deckard Cain was just a phenomenal, phenomenal idea. And when the game launched, when Heroes of the Storm launched, it was awesome. It took all of that competitive crap that we used to see in League of Legends and got rid of it. And it had team experience, and it had maps that were not symmetrical, that had different goals in each map. And you had the ability to fight on a traditional League of Legends front on the battlefield, 1v1. You also had the ability to push objectives and secure key points or key areas of the map in order to progress the lane that way. And when the game came out, it took the world by storm. I mean, everybody was talking about this game, and they kept adding more characters and who's coming next. And they would announce Sylvanas Windrunner was coming out, and everybody lost their minds. And then they announced that, the Lich King was coming, and everybody lost their minds. And character after character, fan favorite after fan favorite after fan favorite were launched into this phenomenal game that had tons of characters, great characterization, fun unlockables, quests, fun modes, and everything was going great for this game. But one thing, Blizzard did not understand how to balance, and they didn't understand how to leave well enough alone. Now, this could be a victim. They could be considered a victim because they didn't understand what the live services were. I'm not really sure. I understand that World of Warcraft is an MMO that has been running for a long time. Many other MMOs have taken a swing at taking down World of Warcraft unsuccessfully, even though the MMO genre is dying. Even Star Wars couldn't even take it down. Even games that were developed by Warcraft developers couldn't take it down. Aeon couldn't take it down. WildStar couldn't take it down. Rift couldn't take it down. The list goes on and on and on and on. The problem is World of Warcraft couldn't leave well enough alone, and they kept poking at it. And just like that, that same philosophy is what doomed Heroes of the Storm. That game had more reworks in it than I have ever seen in a game. I played a healer. I played Uther the Lightbringer. That dude got reworked, no joke, 3 times in the course of about a year and a half because they just didn't understand what they wanted to do with them. They started making characters that had particular movement sets, where they had characters that always had an ability to take down enemy tower ammunition. They slowly phased that out. Then they started introducing characters like Hanzo and Genji that had ridiculous movement patterns that could jump across walls, that could morph into different lanes and just do crazy kinds of things. Then they started giving every character a movement ability. Then they're like, well, that's too many. We have to pull that back. Oh, the game matches are too long. We need to reduce how much damage the towers do. Towers don't have ammunition anymore. Creeps can't push lanes automatically. Camps are going to be stronger. Camps are going to be weaker. The list goes on and on and on. The patch notes would read like the freaking Bible. It would be this thick, full of stuff. And you would see as every game director came into Heroes of the Storm, every game director came through and had their own vision for the game and rapidly changed how the game was played and rapidly changed objectives and character sets and movement sets. And the game slowly morphed into a flavor of the month game where new characters would come out and be ridiculously overpowered, and a new map would come out and it would be broken and taken offline because they couldn't fix it. And the game fell under its own weight, which is such a stupid thing because it is such a great concept, and it's still a great concept today. And if you took all of those Blizzard characters from all of those franchises that I mentioned and you put them in a game, it would sell. Because those characters sell, because people still like Sourfang, because people still like Thrall, because people still love Tychus Finley. And these characters are still iconic to everybody who has anything to do or any knowledge at all about what Blizzard Entertainment once stood for. And it's so frustrating to hear Mike Morehaime, the former freaking president, the granddaddy of it all, say that he thought it failed not because they couldn't leave well enough alone, not because they kept poking on the patches and they just couldn't leave the game as is. No, he's saying it's because they were too late. You guys weren't too late. You guys came at the right time. The franchise had been developed. The idea of a Dota was starting to become hot. People were playing it. You backed it with the Pro League. You backed it with an amateur league and the chair league. You guys had everything straightened out. But it had nothing to do with your entry into it. And it had everything to do with the same problems that's plaguing all your other games right now. And is that you don't know how to patch. The fact that World of Warcraft is going to nerf all the character levels very, very soon because they're just too far and they don't know what to do. The fact that you constantly see stats getting reset on Diablo and random changes to all of your existing items. We're going to instantly shard all your items. We don't like the way that worked. All the new legendaries are going to be this stat because we think this is more fun. If you look at everything across the timeline, there's no rhyme or reason to the way they do the things they do. And I wish that they could have learned this a long time ago and hired people who didn't always have to make their mark on everything. And if you look at it, like, look at Diablo 3 and look at Jay Wilson. He fucked that game so bad, and you all know that he did. Why did he do that? He did that because he wanted to be famous? I don't know. But you know what ended up happening? He ruined Diablo 3. He added the auction house. He took away a lot of the energy or the weapon prefix and suffix that we loved. He took away rune words. He took away all the crazy quests and all the fun that Diablo 2 really started to get into its element on. He wanted to take the game in an entirely new direction with his new vision. And as soon as the guy leaves, Blizzard turns that game around, brings everything back to the way it was, and everybody liked it, but it was too late. And Heroes of the Storm being a live service and constantly having new characters come out, and you had Dustin Browder come and Dustin Browder go, and you had the next guy come and the next guy go. I think they went through like 6 or 7 studio heads or whatever you want to call them, that each one put their mark on it. I think combat's too fast, so we're going to slow things down. I think combat's too slow, so we're going to speed things up. And it goes on and on and on. And it's just so incredibly frustrating. And that's why the game is dead, because you guys just aren't getting it. It was such a fun game. I mean, I remember playing with the boys. I remember practicing for Chair League. We'd have 9 or 10 people online, all dying to get into a game. We'd do 5-on-5 private matches. Everybody was talking about it. The subreddit was blowing up. What new character is going to be next? What new skin is coming out next? What new mods are coming out next? And slowly the game dismantled itself. And it's frustrating. And I know I do a lot of videos on, a game is only as good a studio is only as good as its next game, right? I've done a lot of videos on this, and I've talked a lot at length about how Diablo in particular really died as a franchise, but can totally have some redemption and can totally come back from the ashes with just one good game. And everybody will forget all that crap about April Fool's Day, and everybody will forget all about Diablo Immortal, and everybody will focus on the new game, the new proper sequel to the game. And then everything will be forgiven. And I feel like with Heroes of the Storm, that ship has totally sailed. That game is dead. It's not coming back. But I feel like Blizzard hopefully can take some lessons learned and think about what made them fail. And not in this bull crap, we were late. No, you weren't late. You were dumb. That's what you were. You were dumb. I just hope that they can figure this out, because it's so frustrating to see something so beautiful and so enjoyable as a game slowly fall apart because of poor management and poor decisions year after year after year. And just when you think everything's laying flat, I'm fat. When you think everything's laying flat and the earth is done and it's charred and everything's done and we begin the healing process of moving on, crap like this comes out and it just rips open that wound and we go right back into that same hole and think, man, here we go again. And you know what, Mike Morehaime? Here we go again. So congratulations for not getting it. Most of your loyal fans are probably screaming at this article that was been published and is spreading around at your interview with Gamelab Barcelona, thinking, this guy didn't get it. And you know what? He didn't. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it informative. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Throw me a like, throw me a sub. It's up to you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.